Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started this morning. Welcome. So good morning and welcome to the CASH General Membership Meeting. I think it's appropriate that before we start the meeting today, I wanted to take a moment and recognize and remember Dr. Tom Duffy, who recently passed away after a short battle with cancer. Tom was a beloved friend, mentor, advocate, and past chair of CASH. And his impact on California educational system is immeasurable. His spirit and dedication to students and the facilities that support them will always resonate within our organization. Our thoughts and prayers are with his wife, Barbara, and his 6 children during this difficult time. Let us all take a moment and honor the legacy of Tom through his work as we move forward together with the work of supporting schools and children in our community. Thank you. So with that, we'll move into our agenda today. My turn to click the button here, which seems to be not working. There we go. So just reminding folks before we get into this, let me back up. Having a little technical difficulties here. There we go. So just reminding folks, we'll have a combination of both virtual and live presentation today, but those of us that are joining us virtually, we do want to hear from you. Use the chat feature so that we can see what your comments are. Those of us here that are in person, just raise your hand, throw something, yell at me, whatever you need to do, and we'll stop and we'll answer your question as we go through these presentations today. I want to remind everybody that Proposition 2, California's $10 billion state school bond, is on the ballot in November. Any school district out there that's still contemplating a resolution in support of Prop 2, it's not too late. We're still taking those resolutions as we move forward. Just want to remind everybody about the proposition and make sure that you get out and vote. Make sure that you express your opinion at the ballot box November. So it's available. So we'd like to take a moment and also recognize our contributors to the bond, to the Yes on 2 campaign. So take a moment and recognize our Triple Diamond contributors, architectural group, DLR Group, HMC Architects, and PBK Architects. Our construction managers, Balfour Beatty Construction, as well as Erickson Hall Construction Company. Also consultants and planners, Murdoch, Walrath, and Holmes, and school facilities consultants. Also like to take a moment and recognize our Double Diamond contributors, construction managers, Neff Construction, our Diamond contributors, construction managers, Ledesma Meyer Construction Company, as well as Tilden Coyle Constructors. And our Platinum contributors, architectural group LPA Design Studios. I want to thank all of those for their continuous support of the efforts for Prop 2 as we've moved this through the legislative process. I'd like to take a moment and a little plug for a joint CASH SEC website web shop, on November the 7th. This will be from 10 to 12 o'clock. This will be an opportunity to talk a little bit about harnessing some of that IRA dollars that are out there to help us as we implement energy savings projects in our district. So we're going to have a web shop again on November the 7th. Information is available on the CASH website so that you can sign up for that and partake in that web shop. Again, 10 to 12 o'clock on November the 7th. Yes, Greg?
Yeah, the presentation you were going to do for us on Prop 2.
Yes, thank you for that. Let me back up. Let me back up to that. So as we move forward our Prop 2, thank you, Greg, for that reminder. As we move forward with our Prop 2 work, we have a group of contributors that have really worked on how we get the messaging out. So as a special ad today, we're going to showcase a Prop 2 commercial that's out that's really helping to support the work that we're doing at Proposition 2. So with that, I think we'll turn it over and we'll show you the little commercial that we have.
Being a student is very stressful, challenging, but it's even harder when half of the school is just broken ACs.
The ceiling in math class leaks all over your desk.
Drip, drip, drip.
In California, 38% of students go to schools that
Fail to meet minimum health standards.
Prop 2 will fund repairs at local schools.
Get rid of toxic mold.
make sure bathrooms work,
and fix leaky ceilings.
Finally.
And all the money goes to schools.
without raising taxes.
Yes on Prop 2.
Repair local schools.
Great, thank you, thank you. Really, that's an instrumental part of our outreach for Prop 2, and we couldn't have done it without the support of our contributors and folks that have helped us to move forward the Prop 2 initiative. So thank you all for everyone for being involved. Again, 13 days until Election Day, so there's still time. Get the word out. Word of mouth is a very powerful tool that we can all use to help inform our community and our groups about the importance of Prop 2. So again, with that, I think we're ready to move into the heart of our presentation here, and we have some state agencies that are with us. I see John Gordon coming up on the screen, so good morning, John. And so John will talk to us a little bit about what's happening in the California Department of Education.
Thank you. Good morning. It's good to see you. I apologize you can't be in person this time. Perhaps next month I will be able to be a little more accessible. I would have I'd be remiss by not kind of mentioning Tom Duffy. And I've been at CDE now for a little over 20 years, and Tom always had an interesting perspective when addressing the state agencies. I remember coming in as first starting 20 years ago, I had kind of a different perspective, and then I moved up the ranks and became a field rep, and then into this current position. As much as he always seemed to like to put the state agencies on the spot, I think that there was a playfulness about him that just liked to spar. And so I noticed that whenever I always came back to him, that he really enjoyed that type of engagement that we shared, and I'm really going to miss Tom. Just such a central figure to what we're doing in school facilities, and of course, it seems like whenever I have a presentation, or Ida or Rebecca from OPSC, that Tom always has a question right at the end to kind of get you going. So thoughts are with Tom, with Tom's family, with the Cash family. I'm certainly going to miss him. So just a couple of things I have for cities updates. I'm currently in a position of making some tweaks to our CDE field reps and what their county assignments are. I may have mentioned a couple of months ago that I hired a new field rep who will be outstationed down in the San Bernardino area. So as a part of onboarding her, and her name is Jennifer Morris, she will be taking on Kern County immediately, because I've been onboarding her now for about 2 or 3 months. And then eventually at the end of the year, I'll probably expand her out more into the Southern California area, which is where Angel Dowding, my other field rep, is also serving. So, and then I'll have Haley Legazama, who does Central Valley. She'll probably extend out to Kern and Kings County. And then I'll be making some tweaks here in Northern California here in probably the next couple of weeks. I'm just kind of finalizing, looking at workload and things like that. So just be on the lookout for that. We'll update our web pages where our staff and what their county assignments are here in the next few days. The only other thing I probably share is that we're still moving forward with our federal grant, the Supporting America Schools Infrastructure Grant, the SASE grant. My colleague Mimi Dean Zanzi is headlong into getting our direct technical assistance program kind of ramped up into next year. We have contracts we're working through with the Nevada County Office of Ed and Kern Superintendent County of Schools that will be assisting with us. But another component of the SASE grant is to develop resources, and so we're hoping at least move in that direction here toward the end of the year. This is going to be something that'll be evolving over the next 4 years. And we'll probably start looking at posting some stuff here toward the end of this calendar year. I think we're going to start very basic and general from subject matters on, do you have a legacy file related to facilities? What does that look like? What are the components? Why is that important? As well as just kind of expanding it upon the fit. We know OPSE has the fit document online, but we're looking to kind of blow it up a little bit and kind of provide some resources related to filling out the fit. We believe that with this federal grant, there really is an opportunity to provide some resources and support systems so that we're trying to create maybe a floor of what it takes in terms of maintaining your facilities and trying to do that with fidelity kind of consistently throughout the state of California. So it's a big, heavy lift, but I think we're up for the task and we'll be certainly needing folks' help throughout these next 4 years to really provide these resources for really all California school districts. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, but that's more or less my update for today.
Yeah, John, I had a quick kind of follow-up question, and I'll say when Prop 2 passes, there's an element of Prop 2 that includes an additional $5 million that's to allocate it to CDE to help continue the work, the outreach work you're doing. Has there been a discussion of at least collaboration about how that money will be used to best meet the needs of districts, specifically small, less wealthy districts?
Yes, we are exploring that. Obviously, we have to put in a budget change proposal through our systems, through Department of Finance to explore what that looks like. I will share that what our legislators in California put in for this $5 million isn't exactly the same as what we have for the federal grant, only in the respect that the criteria is slightly different and a little more open. So we are required to develop regulations on what that criteria looks like. When we developed the federal grant, we had to define what our high need districts are, which we've done. And so we kind of knew what the universe looked like, and we knew how many schools we were looking to visit over the life of the grant. With the Proposition 2, it's a little bit different, and it did add one more criteria to that, and then we're going to have to go through the challenge of developing regulations on how the Department of Education would select the criteria. For instance, where would they prioritize would we do it, for instance, in cycles, and then folks would apply? So developing that process and providing an implementation plan, at least to do the direct technical assistance, is something we're going to have to look at it, and it may take a little bit of time because it has to go through a regulatory process. A lot of the other things within that program do kind of mirror what we're doing in terms of providing resources, wanting to develop a system of support. I believe also, though I don't think it's related to SASE, but that certification list, I know that's something that we're investigating, trying to look into what that might look like as well. So
yeah, I imagine there's going to be a high level of collaboration with OPSC as we begin to think about how those dollars will be allocated over time. Clearly it won't be a $5 million check that lands in your lap, but we'll develop that. We'll develop that as we go forward. So it'll be an interesting opportunity for us to continue to collaborate as an industry. So thank you. So I'll look around to see if there's any other questions, at least here in person. But if not, thank you, John. I appreciate the update.
Thanks.
Okay, so we will continue in our agenda here, and now we have the State Architect's Office, the Division of State Architects. And so today we have Kurt Kooknick from DSA that will be giving us a quick update on how we're doing in DSA and what's happening in DSA. So Kurt, I see you're there.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Kurt. Good morning.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for you for the PowerPoint. I think we had a little trouble last time with this, but I'm hopeful that we've resolved this. Let's just do this. And while I'm doing this, may I say, I too would be in remiss, both on my behalf and on Ida's, if I didn't mention how much Tom meant to us here at DSA. I was actually, I feel blessed to meet Tom back in '96 when I first started lobbying for the American Institute of Architects. And I got to tell you, Tom was always three things: professional, charming, and a gentleman. And I told another lobbyist friend of mine that knew Tom, he's the kind of guy that I wished would live forever, quite frankly, because he was just such a good man. And he also used to needle us here at DSA, but it was only because he wanted us to do better and to be better. And we were better for him. And I sure will miss Tom. Let's see if I can get my act together here with this. I'm sorry about the delay here. Hey, Courtney, I'm going to email this to you real quick, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Oops.
It's off to you. I don't know why I have difficulty with this thing here.
While we're getting the technical side worked out, thank you, Kurt, for those kind words. I think the thing that I reflect on much about Tom is Tom had that innate ability to see in us more than we saw in ourselves, and to be able to draw out from us more than each of us actually thought. I thought everybody in our industry has very personal stories about their contact with Tom and about what Tom meant for them and how Tom was able to bring out more in them than they actually saw in themselves. So I think he definitely had the ability of seeing and identifying folks that were partners and leaders in our industry, and being able to help further our work through those relationships that he was able to build. And I myself personally enjoyed Tom's needling of all the state agencies. That was always a bit of fun on my side. So I am going to miss that as well. I'll have to try to bring up my game, Kurt, and bring some needling myself. Yeah.
Please do. All right. Sorry for the delay here, but I think it's important also to recognize what a wonderful guy Tom was. So my name is Kurt Kooknick. I am the deputy to the state architect. I don't have all those pedigrees that Ida has in her name, behind her name there on the slide. I'm just a guy. So without any further ado, Courtney, thank you. We have our daily intended. We know that we've talked to you about this before. This will give you an idea, though, the amount of work that we're seeing right now coming through DSA. This is just for 4 months. So we're still averaging about $1 billion, close to $1 billion a month worth of work. Had the dip in August, historic dip, and then the ramp up in September. But I think we're tracking well. If you look at the time that we have the projects in office, we're keeping up using the 3 things that we have to keep up. As far as tools go, that's staff overtime, and our consultants for outside plan review. We can't even imagine what $10 billion worth of additional funds is going to look like coming in the door, but this is what it looks like for just the past 4 months here, up to, I believe this is October 18th was when the snapshot was taken here. Let you absorb that if you're a data geek like I am. All right, so these are the apps received for each office and the total, and then you have a total dollar amount. And you can see what's coming in each day in project load for the month of October. And like I said, this is a $1.15 billion month of work. This is our daily intended. This information, while it's not on a client-facing portal, we're always happy to provide this. We try to be as transparent as possible. And if you ever need this information for your own use and projections for the design professionals when you're trying to figure out the lull for submission, these are very useful. I think that we're happy to help you read them, understand them, and see when a good time is to submit for your appointment process. So this is for October, and this is the next slide. Thank you, Courtney. Is November, and these are our projections for next month based on the appointments that we've received to date. So again, could you go back one more, please? Thank you. So you see, we're still tracking for 1.12 billion for next month. So the workload, it just keeps coming. All right, next slide, please. We had an interesting thing happen. A virus was introduced into our system here, and it caused a lot of disruption. And so, unfortunately, as a consequence, we're going to inconvenience the design professionals' lives when they come in for a back check. We can no longer allow their equipment to connect directly to our network, so you can connect to the monitors and use your computers to access those for back check. But unfortunately, we cannot allow you to download Bluebeam sessions to our computers anymore. You'll have to work from yours. And we know it's an inconvenience. We're very sorry, but the Enterprise Technology Solutions at DGS, which is our IT, has mandated this as a means to protect, because it was a system, it was an infection system-wide. Next slide, please. This is not new, but it's important to keep up this in front of you. The PRAs for plan sets, we've changed the policy. We've allowed the districts to determine who is going to be getting the plan sets, since they actually own the plan sets. This mirrors the health and safety code that local building departments use for buildings approved under their authority. And it's for the same reasons. We never felt good about just handing out plan sets to anybody that requested them. We think the districts who know who their good neighbors are and bad neighbors are should also know who's requesting plans. And there's too much sensitive data on a set of plans to just be handing them out to anybody. So in the interest of the building occupants' health, safety, and welfare, this was the path we took. We think it's the right path. And we know it's an inconvenience to design professionals, but again, it's for a greater good. So if you go to the next slide, please. These are our recommendations for both the districts and the design professionals. Delegate someone who is going to be the authorized person allowing the requests and the person who can access the request. This will save you some time on your end and not add delay unnecessarily. Okay, next slide, please. Classroom locks. We have made some changes in response to 2565 McCarty. We have a publication. I don't know if many of you are aware of it, but it's a building safety guide. We'll be updating it to reflect this change in the law. But basically, it's pretty straightforward. Alteration, addition, reconstruction, rehabilitation for occupancy greater than 5 requires locks now. It's the world we live in, and we adapt, right? Next slide, please. Green schoolyards. This one, I guess the key thing is if you're doing this type of project, two things to take away. Path travel improvements are limited to 20%. And this is only in effect for projects approved by DSA on or before December 31st of 2030. So there is a sunset on this. It doesn't go on forever. But design professionals should be well aware of it. Take advantage of our pre-application meetings. That's the last bullet there. Very important. Regardless of your project, please take advantage of the pre-application meetings. It can set you on the right path for success rather than have some unforeseen condition in your design that causes delay because of redesign. Next slide, please. We've got 5 new IRs, bulletins, procedures, and forms that we've added. We've got, let me give you a little best as I can detail on these guys here. Where I go here. On the IRGC1, that's EV chargers and new construction and additions. We just posted this in July. And if you've got any projects coming up that are applicable to K through 12 community college projects only that require vehicle charging stations, this is the document that you need to understand for the scoping and background requirements on this. It's a voluminous, well, 4 pages and then make it voluminous, but it's a document that you definitely need to comprehend. The next document is the DSA-1, the RUH. That guy there, the unreasonable hardship, we've made some changes to that form. Please take a look at that. Can't really speak much about it. They're definitely self-explanatory. I mean, I don't want to belabor these points here. PR 2401, that's a new document for the request of hardship application. Goes pretty much hand in hand with the previous document. Again, very self-explanatory once you get into it. And then the RT1, that's the request for finding of technical and feasibility. This one here, I would really recommend that you work with your DSA regional office, specifically the supervisor for access. There's a lot of nuance to this thing, and I would bring it up in a pre-application meeting if you're the design professional of record to make sure that what you're doing is doable, and if you're looking for some kind of flex, get it approved early by our offices. 2401 back check procedure. Things have gotten much easier in the back check room, we think, we hope. We've tried to streamline the project intake and plan review process at the final step in the back check room, and we hope we have done so. 2-phase process. Take a look. Again, that's a 6-page document. I'm not going to burn through it here for you. So those are the new docs. Next slide is our PI program. Made a lot of changes there. We know that project inspector shortage is a big concern for districts. We're doing everything we can to increase the number without jeopardizing building occupant safety. It doesn't mean we're going to dumb down the program at all. We're just looking at ourselves, doing a self-assessment of how we do things and can we do it better to make it a more expedient process. One of the things we've done is we're now doing the exams in our 4 regional offices to make it easier on the applicants instead of setting up locations throughout the state. We feel that it's much more expedient if we can do the process in-house, and that's what we've done. So they're now in-house, they're computer-based. We had some issues with cheating on the exam, believe it or not. And those instances went all the way through legal, and those individuals now have a lifetime ban on becoming a project inspector. We take it serious, and if you're going to behave that way at the beginning of the process, we are really concerned about how you'll behave on the job site. So we take it very seriously. So individuals who cheat are dealt with swiftly, and like I said, lifetime ban. We offer increased familiarity with this testing equipment. Interestingly enough, there are a lot of people still who are not well versed on computers, and so there was a lot of pushback because they like the pencil paper method, but we'll help them through it. It's not that difficult. The big news for recertification candidates, entirely online now through LMS. They don't have to come in-house anymore. Regulatory improvements. There's some things coming up in the admin code I'll talk about next when we get to the rulemaking for the Building Standards Commission. But one thing I want to point out before I walk away from this slide is the project inspector availability list. There is a list on our website under services where you'll find this if you're a school district looking for a project inspector. If you're a project inspector, you want to make yourself known as being available, get on that list. That's a resource that we currently offer, and we're looking to improve it by putting it a little more prominently on its own page. Next slide, please. So this is the rulemaking calendar here for the Building Standards Commission. Right now, we're in the 45-day comment period. That red arrow indicates we're just about at the end, but if you're interested in the PI program, and I know we've heard from a lot of the brokers, get involved, go to the BSC rulemaking site, see when the next hearings are coming up for public comment, and participate. As we used to say in lobbying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, and that's what's happening here. So, next slide is more BSC rulemaking. You can see here's a calendar of the upcoming events for the areas of DSA that are of concern to us: access, green, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, building, fire, others. Can I tell you? That's about it for us. Subscribe to our listserv if you want to get up-to-date information. And I'll take any questions I can answer.
Great. Thank you, Kurt. I appreciate the update. You know, I did have one quick question. So first of all, I applaud you for placing some reasonable restrictions on the release of our building plans. That does help us as we think about security at our school site and really looking at who has what information. But my question is, DSA already maintains an approved list of district representatives. Are those folks going to be used for this plan release, or do we have to go through another approval process to be added to that list, or is this only others that we would want to be included?
So not everybody is on the list because not everybody has. So there's what, 1,010 districts in the state, roughly. Not everybody has yet to have the need to pull a set of plans. It's when they pull it. It's kind of the reverse of closeout and certification. They're no longer doing closeout and certification until they're doing a project on that campus. Well, they're not getting on a list till they realize they need to get on a list. Not everybody is up to date on this information. Not everybody's a member of CASH and is ahead of the curve on learning what's coming their way. So it's to those who have not yet gotten on the list and need to get on the list. Those that are on the list, they're good to go.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So I'll pause a moment and look around at least the in-person room to see if there's any questions for you. I'm not seeing any. So with that, I thank you for your update and thank you for the work that you're doing to continue to partner with us with DSA.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Good, good. Okay, so up next in our agenda is Office of Public School Construction. So we have with us Brian Lepask from OPSC that'll give us an update on what's happening in OPSC. So Brian.
Good morning. I'd like to join my colleagues just mentioning Tom and how much he meant to all of us. I have a number of stories I could tell. The one thing that was always in common with all of them is that you could always tell what his goals were, and that was to make school districts better, make our community better. It always came across very clear to me that's what his goal was. So all the needling or comments he'd have were always directed that way, and I just really appreciated that about him, and it really kind of taught me to focus on the things that are important, and that's what he was always doing. And so he was a great example for all of us, and so we're going to miss him very much. So great guy, and going to miss him a lot. He would have been very interested to know what's going to happen coming up here in a couple weeks. We got a big election coming up. We're monitoring that very carefully as we have been. And, you know, regardless of what happens, we're going to be busy doing meetings. We have a bunch of stuff planned. We have some continuation items for putting the TK grade level as its own grade level in the 5001. And as it relates to enrollment projections, we're still planning on moving forward with that. We have more to do with our seismic and facility hardship program regulations that we're working on improvements for. And we're also preparing some resource material and potentially some regulations for second round modernization, which is another thing that's coming up a lot, especially for portable buildings. So we're working on all that stuff. Obviously, if the bond passes, we have lots of other things to focus on too. And so, you know, if it does go through, at the December meeting, we're planning on bringing forward a policy item that will outline what we think are the most urgent things to focus on. As you know, there's going to be a grandfathering going on for the applications received beyond bond authority list, but there are going to be some projects coming in that will go right to the top of our workload, namely health and safety projects, facility hardship and seismic. So there's a number of impacts that it would have on those projects. And so we're planning to bring forward an item if the bond passes related to those things and what to focus on. Also, you know, I know that there's a lot of talk about the 5-year master plan and what that entails. There are a lot of provisions already outlined in the legislation. There's some other stuff that's probably going to be coming up that's going to be up to all of us to coordinate on. And we plan on doing that in a fully public manner, very transparent like we always do with our stakeholder meetings and input from all of you guys to make sure that we get everything the best it can be. So we'll be monitoring that. It's right on the horizon. It seems like we've been looking forward to it for quite a long time, and it's upon us now. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all develops. We don't have a lot of other updates this month. The meeting should be pretty quick tonight. It's consent only. There's no action items or anything else. There's about 151 million in approvals for new construction and modernization projects, and then we have another just a little less than 5 million for health and safety this month. And the last meeting of the year will be coming up on December 3rd. So after today, the next one's December 3rd, and then that'll be it for this calendar year. So that's all I have today. Pretty brief update. If there's any questions, I'm open for that. Not seeing anything. Thank you.
Maybe we can interpret that question in the back. Is there a question directly for Josh?
I believe it's
For
for
Brian, I'm sorry, I called you
clarification. It says it was mentioned to this person asking the question that after October 31st, 2024, there will be additional requirements when submitting applications.
Yeah, so what they're probably thinking of or referring to is the Prop 2 language talks about the existing rules will be in place through October 30th of this year. So anything received on the 31st or after will be subject to the Prop 2 rules. That's true.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Brian, not Josh. I apologize for that. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, I think it's important to note that Prop 2 specifically states that applications that would be submitted today before October 30th would be under the existing set of regulations, but on October 31st and beyond would be subject to the new regulations once Prop 2 passes. So just want to be clear. Okay, so thank you, Brian. I appreciate the update on OPSC. So we'll move on our agenda. We have Nancy Charles Espinoza and Rebecca Colleen from Murdoch, Walrath, and Holmes, our cash staff, to give us a quick update on regulatory and legislative issues. So with that, looks like Nancy's first.
Thank you, Alan. We have a shorter update for you today. The legislature is in its recess. It's winter recess. I forget what they call it technically. Ending out their 2-year legislative session. They will return, those that are returning, on December 2nd, and all of the newly elected members, of course, December 2nd for their organizational session, which is exactly what it sounds like. But it is also an opportunity to introduce new legislation. We do typically see some bills introduced that day. And it also kicks off for us our season of doing our meet and greets and beginning our overview of school facilities with all of those new members. So turnover will be big again, like last time, potentially up to about a third of those members. So it's a big undertaking for us, but one that is a great investment of our time in educating all of these new folks who may not have had exposure to the issues that you all work on, and beginning to develop those relationships with folks who are new to the process. And then they will go back to their districts after that organizational date and come back and really begin in earnest after the start of the new year. They have not announced that date yet. The Assembly and the Senate typically get together and agree on a date to return. Not always. Sometimes they're a day or two off, but it'll be around January 6th when they come back and really begin in earnest. We are still a little bit busy, still tying up some loose ends from the legislative session that just ended. I just want to direct you again to an item in our Cash Weekly that went out this week regarding SB 937 by Mr. Weiner. This is a bill that unfortunately will be read different ways by different folks. We really want school districts to be prepared for what it could mean for them. So the authors and proponents intended for the bill to allow for the delay of collection of impact fees for up to 5 years, and for the freezing of those fees, effectively providing a very significant discount of those fees. So again, that could really impede our ability to deliver on those projects that we need to deliver. So we are just encouraging folks in districts to talk to their legal counsel. While we're on that, it is also a really great time to remind folks in districts that you should have a process in place to know when permits are being pulled in your jurisdiction, and to make sure that you're finding out, for example, when certificates of occupancy are being issued, if that's going to be a trigger that's relevant in your process. So just a general plug, that is a good practice to have in place. And that is all I have today, so I'm going to toss it to my colleague, Rebecca.
Thank you, Nancy. Hi, everybody. So we are actually less than 2 weeks out from the election. So 13 days. I'm not counting the seconds, the minutes, and the hours, but we're so excited to be in the home stretch. In California, everyone has a mail-in ballot, right? So everybody is now what we used to call an absentee voter. That certainly changes the landscape. It shifts things. It changes how we talk to voters and when. And it's something that we are still really, as not just an organization, but a state trying to understand the ramifications of. But certainly your friendly reminder to vote and to encourage everyone you know to vote and to talk to them about the importance of Proposition 2. One thing that I do want to mention is that Election Day is always a very, very exciting time when we have a bond on the ballot. I cannot promise you that at midnight on Election Day, we will know definitively the outcome on Proposition 2. I very much hope and believe that it will be very clear, but don't panic. You'll hear information from us over that election week on the status of votes. If you recall, there is a lot of vote counting that happens in the weeks and days after Election Day, especially because of all the mail-in ballots that have to be processed. So just keep that in mind, and we will be communicating with you on and after Election Day. As far as Prop 2, we continue to very much enjoy a broad coalition of support. We want to thank those districts that have submitted their board resolutions to us. If you have not yet done that, it is not too late, so please get it to Nancy or myself. We've got information and directions on how to do that on the CASH website. You can reach out to me personally if you want a little bit of guidance on that, but we are still collecting those. We are still updating the Yes on 2 website with those board resolutions, and they are very, very much appreciated. They're critically important. And then we continue to have that broad range of support from many different types of organizations up and down the state of California. We've got the support and endorsement from the California Democratic Party, as well as the California Republican Party. We've got the State Chamber of Commerce and also local regional chambers of commerce. We've got the state PTA, Building Trades, SEIU, other organizations that are part of this broad coalition of support. So we're really excited about that. Lots of good information too in the press. You may have seen articles, information, election guides. Take a look at those. Those are exciting. We have key endorsements from some of the top papers and news groups in the state. So San Francisco Chronicle, LA Times, and SACB, which is the McClatchy group and has papers throughout the state. So that's very exciting to see. And we're getting a lot of good information kind of in those secondary papers like EdSource, CalMatters, et cetera. Lots of conversation about Prop 2, and that's great to see because we know that when voters learn about Proposition 2, they will support it. So that connects to, well, what are we seeing out there? And I've got my prop. This is my mailer that came to me, Rebecca Colleen, at my address. I was tickled and delighted when I got it in the mail because unfortunately we're not able to communicate with every single voter directly with one of these mailers. They're very targeted. The campaign is looking at certain demographics, base support, those that may be convinced to support Proposition 2. My father-in-law probably won't get one. If you've heard my stump speech about my father-in-law, I'm working on him. But we are seeing pieces like that. We have other organizations that are supporting the campaign, like the California Teachers Association, that have sent out mail pieces as well that have had a very broad reach in the state. So in addition to direct mail, lots of activity in the digital space. So digital ads, if you're on social media, you may see ads on there as well. Some television, cable news, if you've been watching the Dodgers, you might have seen one of the ads there. So just lots of excitement about that. And I'm curious if you've seen the Prop 2 ads in the wild. Send me a note and let me know because yes, I'm still tickled by it. I love to see the evidence of it. I love to see your pictures of your mailers. You're not bugging me. I love to see that stuff. So when it passes, we're very excited to work in partnership with OPSC and CDE and DSA to get a Prop 2 implemented to work on some of those, those complex new programmatic components that are in Proposition 2 so that we can ensure smooth implementation for all of our projects. And then I know Ian is not here today. I just wanted to, on his behalf, mention one bill for you. He went through a lot of bills at the CASH Fall Conference, and a lot of things have died in the legislative process. Now that we're at the end of the legislative session, there is one that I wanted to raise for you. I know he talked about it a little bit at the CASH Fall Conference, but it's SB 1091 Menjivar. This was signed by the governor, so this is going to be a new option. It is related to access upgrades. and specifically easing path of travel requirements for projects that are schoolyard greening projects with nature-based solutions. What this will do is limit the cost of complying with those ADA requirements to 20% of the adjusted construction cost of the project when the costs exceed the valuation threshold. So that sounds like word salad, but it's an easing of the access compliance requirements. So that was signed by the governor. That is something that you may avail yourselves of. It is similar, builds off of a concept from SB 515 last year, which was related to shade structures and a similar concept. So I wanted Ian to be here with you in spirit as well, wanted to share one of the bills he's been working on. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Alan, and please remember, I can say it from the podium, vote yes on Prop 2, and thank you for your partnership and your support as we land the plane. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca, Nancy, Ian, and the whole team for all the hard work that you've done throughout the year to stay on top of all these regulatory issues. So thank you very much, and all your great work on Prop 2. So with that, we'll jump to the next slide. I know that we don't have any official update on the School Energy Coalition today, but I did want to take a moment and again plug the workshop that's coming up on November the 7th. This is a joint workshop between CASH and the School Energy Coalition, where we're going to be taking a really deep dive into the IRA, the Inflation Recovery Act, and how you can harness those dollars to help your school district meet some of your energy needs at your site and offset your energy footprint. So take a look at that. That's November the 7th. You can go to our CASH website to sign up for that. But look forward to seeing a great crowd there for that joint workshop between the Energy Coalition and CASH. So we'll jump to the next slide. CASH Federal Network. So looks like Mr. Walrath is going to come up to give us a quick update on the CASH Federal Network. So Dave, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Alan. Just a quick update to remind you, you'll be receiving information regarding our fall lobbying trip. The fall trip will be for meetings December 10th through 12th. And what we'll be doing is meeting with congressional and executive offices, as well as people like Green Building Council and other nonprofits who share some of our issues regarding school facilities. The current funding authorization for operating the government ends on December 20th. So the timing of these meetings is very important so we can advocate for having school facilities in the funding proposals to keep the government running after the 20th. The trip will be to lobby for that and also to start lobbying the congressional leadership on our issues in We Build America Schools Act, the tax credit bonds, the grants for renovation and repair, trying to keep this and put it on the 2025 agenda for when Congress becomes back in session for their normal legislative process. So that is where we are. You'll be receiving information soon. And the next comment has nothing to do with federal. Yes, vote yes on Prop 2, just like Rebecca. I can say that from the podium. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dave, and all the great work for our folks in the CASH Federal Network. I'd like to also take a plug and say, consider joining the CASH Federal Network. It's a great opportunity for you to get involved with what's happening in Washington, D.C., and very much consider joining the delegation that will be going to Washington, D.C. to really advocate for what California needs from the federal government and support for our schools. If you need any information about the CASH Federal Network, you can reach out to one of our two co-chairs, either Denver Stairs or Josh Jorn, and they'll be happy to provide you information about how you can become a part of that delegation. So with that, we'll move on to the next part, which is a quick update on our 46th Annual Conference on School Facilities. So we'll have Tom Pace, our CASH Vice Chair, come up and give us an update.
Thank you, Alan. I'll make my update fairly quick. Annual conference is popular, as most of you know, if you have tried to book a room. So first thing to mention is that there is a block of rooms on the website now. As those blocks sell out, we will make other blocks available. So we are trying to accommodate everyone the best we can. But just know the conference is popular. So if you do not have a room, I would suggest starting now rather than waiting till later. The second update we have on the annual conference is the golf tournament. We are looking for foursomes and sponsors. It's going to be held at Rancho Mirage Sunday morning. It is not on the website yet, but if you would like details about that, you can reach out to Greg Golick or myself to talk about details for the golf tournament. Lastly, I always do provide some social commentary, and I do mention the National Day. Today is October 23rd. Does anyone know why October 23rd is important? The Swallows return home to Argentina. And the what? They leave Capistrano and go to Goya, Argentina. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it. And you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Tom Duffy. And the reason I mentioned the Swallows is Tom came into my life much like the Swallows landed in Capistrano. He just appeared one day. It wasn't a fastback Dodge Charger. And he drove like the Swallows. He drove very quickly in life. He never stopped to eat. He was always energetic and always had a mission. And similar to the Swallows, one day they're there and one day they're not. And so to my dear friend Tom, you know, I'll miss you. The second part of that is, you know, we recently lost Fernando Valenzuela, a fantastic Californian, to cancer. I will just say this about cancer. It is a battle that many of us fight. It is a battle that many of us lose. And it is sad that too many of us have lost their lives too early in life due to cancer. So if anything, you know, take time to look at your loved ones and appreciate the life, but get involved in the fight against cancer. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for all the great work of the planning committee and all of the co-chairs that are working hard to create the best conference ever in February 24th to 26th in Palm Springs. So as we get close to the end of today's meeting, I wanted to take a moment again and recognize the job exchange and People's Choice. This is an opportunity for CASH members to get a wider audience, a more diverse audience for whether it's a RFP, RFQ that you're putting out in your district and looking for more of a global response to that, or you have personnel needs like we all do, right? So this is an opportunity for you to place those position openings that you're recruiting for out there and get a larger perspective. So as a CASH member, please take advantage of that. You can log onto the website and you can post your RFP, RFQ, or your job recruitment opportunity there so that other members in our industry can see that and respond to that. It's a great opportunity for you. So with that, we'll move into the next. We're going to be closing our meeting here. So the next CASH Day will be Tuesday, December the 3rd. That'll be a great opportunity for us to celebrate the passage of Prop 2 and really collaborate closely with OPSC. OPSC will be presenting some items to the State Allocations Board about the implementation and planning for the implementation of Prop 2. So it'll be a great opportunity for all of us to be up here in Sacramento and voice our support of the great collaboration and work that we've always enjoyed with OPSC. So I do want to take a little bit of a minute, and I do want to close this meeting in memory of Tom Duffy, a friend, an advocate, a professional whose commitment to our organization is unquestioned. And I want to take a moment and thank Tom for everything he's done and what he's meant to me personally. So thank you, Tom. God bless. And we'll call the meeting adjourned.